Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story that perfectly captures the essence of working in the hospitality industry, especially when you have to deal with the unicorn of Karens, the entitled vacationing mega Karen. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. You can eat anchovies. Okay, working with the public's always a fun time. I truly believe everyone should have to deal with a Karen with a forced smile. It's a great lesson in tolerance and learning the limits of them. Now, I at the time have been a chef for about 8 years. I built up a good thick skin at this point so I can deal with the different breed of Karen you'd however see in my work environment, a tourist hotspot near the ocean, learning to deal with the unicorn of Karen, the entitled vacationing mega Karen, MK for short. Some of my coworkers, namely the younger summer job waitstaff, haven't developed the methods of tolerance yet. So with that lined up, let me get to the story. I was the sous chef of an outdoor terrace-style seafood restaurant by the sea that was also a seaside inn. On this day, a party of 5 came in, MK with 4 others, I want to say friends. The entire time I could hear her complain that the waitress was slow service with slow. Everything was taking too long. We had a full house at the time. Anyway, after chowder, bread, and a shared appetizer, all of which, according to MK, took forever to get to the table, it was time to order salads. Now, it's at this point I can tell she's been there before because she ordered the Caesar salad, but made a point to say, hold the anchovies because she was allergic. No, at this point, I should say that. We serve our Caesar salad with 2 anchovies in an X on the top of our dish. Now, she had said this in such a harsh way that my little waitress was about in tears, and MK seemed to be enjoying it. Her friends seemed to be used to the type of behavior, so it was here I decided to step in. I walked over on my bright white chef coat with the tall paper chef's hat and spoke to Karen. I'm sorry, I couldn't help over here. Please let me personally handle your order. We take allergies very seriously. I'll be out with your order in a few minutes. So I then stepped inside. Our salad station was indoors. I asked our salad chef to make a Caesar salad without dressing or garnish, the anchovies. While I stepped inside the storage room and took the label off the box, our dressing came in. 3 minutes after I stepped inside, I came back out and placed a plate of romaine lettuce with Parmesan cheese and croutons. At first, MK had that smug, victorious look on her face. That lasted about 30 seconds till she realized, loudly, where the frig is my dressing? I asked for a Caesar salad. Equality is loud but calm. My voice carries like that. But ma'am, you are allergic. I can't feed you something you are allergic to. She yelled, pointing her finger at me. I said I'm allergic to anchovies. I had your salad yesterday and you put anchovies on it. I just want my salad without anchovies. Now go make me one without it. I said, but ma'am, it's right there in front of you. I have made you an anchovy-free salad. But from what you have just told me, I have good news for you. But let me confirm that you had my salad yesterday. Yes, I just removed the portion that had the anchovies on it. It's at this point I realized I had the attention of the whole front end. I said, well, I have good news and bad news for you. The good news is that you're not allergic to anchovies. And the bad is that I know this because you ate some yesterday and are still fine. Putting my hand up to stop her protests. I said, not as loudly but firmly, anchovies are one of the main ingredients to Caesar salad dressing. Reaching inside my pocket and pulling out the label, I pointed to the second ingredient, anchovy paste. To this day, I can close my eyes and see her go from red to white and back again. Her friends about fell out of their chairs laughing. Got a chuckle from a few other tables too. My little waitress got one hell of a tip from that table. Likely not from Karen, but her friends. I'm often surprised how few people actually know the ingredients that go into the foods that they claim to love. And our second story. Yes, I speak Spanish, but I'm a tourist, just like you. So this happened a few years ago, long before this pandemic started. For context, I'm Mexican, I was fresh out of college, and I decided I wanted to go on vacation to New York because I really wanted to see a Broadway musical. I convinced my mom to go with me because I didn't want to go alone and my friends don't have that kind of money. She didn't want to at first because she had some very bad opinions about Americans, which thankfully changed after our trip. And she also doesn't speak English very well. Thankfully for her, our second day in New York, we were looking for a place to have breakfast and entered a restaurant. I don't know if that's the name. They served pancakes, sandwiches, and cheesecakes, and also had some fruits and sodas to buy. Anyways, the place actually had only Mexican employees, so my mom didn't have to rely on me to order for her, which she appreciated. So from then on, we ate all our meals there. The place didn't have any waiters, though, so you had to order and then go pick up your food when they call for your turn and bring it back to your table yourself. It was during our second day in New York that we ordered some sandwiches, and when our turn was called, my mom asked me to get our food. However, when I came back with it, she asked me if I could also bring her another bottle of water, as she'd already finished hers. She gave me money, and I went to buy her another bottle. I had arrived to the fridge and was about to open it when someone said in Spanish, "Excuse me." She had a weird accent that I'd never heard before, so definitely not from Mexico. I quickly grabbed the bottle and turned to look at whoever had spoken, thinking they wanted to use the fridge. I was met with an old lady wearing a shirt and shorts with sunglasses on and a camera hanging from her neck by a cord. Yep, definitely a tourist like myself. "Are you going to use the fridge?" I asked, also in Spanish. "No, I wanted to know why our food hasn't arrived yet. We ordered almost half an hour ago." To her credit, she wasn't rude about it, mostly annoyed, which I understand. "Oh no, you have to go pick up the food yourself," I explained. "See, the ticket they give you? It has a number, and when it matches the number in the sign above the counter, it means your food is ready." "But you brought food to that woman," she said confusedly, pointing to my mom. "Yeah, that's my mom. I don't work here." "But you're Mexican." She seemed to still be trying to make sense of the situation. She probably inferred I was Mexican because of my skin color and because I had the same accent as the employees. "Yes, but I'm a tourist just like you," I kept trying to explain. "I live with 3 elderly people, so I know sometimes it takes them a while to understand something that goes against what they had at first believed to be the truth." Eventually, she seemed to process my words and apologized profusely before going to pick her food. She, her husband, and their grandson then went to sit next to my mom and I. This wasn't uncommon, as the tables were rather large and the place was crowded, and we spent a good time talking about our experiences in New York, as well as our own countries. Turns out they were from Colombia. Eventually, it was time for us to go to the musical, so we said goodbye to them and headed towards Broadway. That was the first and also the last time, to date at least, that I have been confused as an employee when I'm actually not. And I'm thankful it was a positive experience. Good on you to understand people in cognitive decline might need some extra time to process, but glad she let it sink in too. This could have gone south on both sides. Good story, and hope you both enjoyed New York. And our next story. Entitled neighbor wants our fence gone. We live in a quaint countryside town in Alsace, France. Our home is a 2-apartment house with 1 unit upstairs and 1 downstairs. We have only 1 neighbor, separated by a green hedge that can grow quite tall, about 2 meters, roughly 6.5 feet. The hedge is crucial for our privacy because the entrance door to the upstairs apartment has a direct view into our yard and, most importantly, our pool, which we set up in the summer. Our downstairs neighbor is a bit old. Never saw her, so can't give an exact age, and apparently had nothing better to do than bother us. One day, my father found a note on our door stating that our hedge was too high and needed to be cut. My father chatted with her, explaining our need for privacy, and they settled on a height of 1.25 or 1.75 meters. So my father, my brother, and I cut the hedge to the agreed height. All good, right? Wrong. After a while, she demanded we cut the hedge down to 1 meter, which would completely expose our yard to the upstairs apartment. She even threatened us with a lawsuit. And guess what? She actually took us to court. And guess what? She won! My father in the courtroom said, "Okay, you know what? We're going to tear down the hedge and build a wall." She freaked out, but my father was resolute, so we did just that. My father, my older brother, and I built the wall. Although my father wanted her to pay half the cost since the wall was on our property, she didn't have to contribute. This also meant she couldn't paint it or hang anything on it. To this day, the wall isn't completely finished because my father had a bad injury and couldn't lift heavy things like bricks. We're watching closely to ensure she doesn't alter the wall. And here's the kicker, she doesn't even live in the apartment full time. She rents it out while living somewhere in the mountains. She sued us over a hedge she rarely sees. After we tore down the hedge, she built a structure that blocks up to 20% of the light. Her sole argument was that the hedge blocked too much light. Yeah, right. But here's the satisfying twist. The wall we built was so high and solid that it not only gave us the privacy we needed, but also blocked any chance of her renters peeking into our yard. The new structure she built did nothing to improve her light situation, and she was left with a view of a solid wall instead of our lovely hedge. In the end, we got our privacy back, and she ended up with a permanent reminder not to mess with us. Sweet, sweet revenge. This could be a perfect example of being careful what you wish for. You just might get it. In this case, she rather got the exact opposite of what she wanted. And our last story. Not part of HOA. Location, Kissimmee, Florida. Situation. My parents had an existing fence on their property that was falling apart. They tore the old fence and built the new one without a building permit. A couple of months later, they receive a notice from HOA stating that they are in violation of the governing document because they had fencing installed without filing a building permit with Osceola County or notifying the Architectural Control Committee as per the deed restrictions requirement. My parents are not part of the HOA. The notice also includes the following statement. Additionally, our records indicate that you are not a member of the redacted Homeowners Association. We highly suggest that you complete the enclosed application and submit this with the annual dues of deducted. They were invited to attend a HOA meeting to contest these fines. However, they were unable to attend due to an emergency. Since they did not attend the meeting, the HOA levied a $1,500 fine and planned to file a property lien against their home. My parents tried to get more information, but the number provided does not return their calls. At this moment, I'm trying to pull deed records from the county to determine if there are any deed restrictions. I plan to help the folks to contact the HOA representatives if they do another meeting regarding the fine. It just appears counterintuitive to not be a part of the HOA, yet they have to still receive approval for the fence regardless of deed restrictions. Edit. I received clarifying information from the folks. HOA has yet to put a lien on the property, they only threatened. Update 1. I found the deed, however, it's one page. I'm not sure if this is typical for HUD purchased property. There's some language that concerns me regarding restrictions, which I commented below. Update 2. I found the record plat and saw no mention of HOA. Nonetheless, I told my parents to call the title company for more details. Update 3. An HOA cannot fine someone if their lot isn't part of the association, full stop. And that addendum I mentioned makes it seem pretty clear that they do not think my parents' house is part of it either. There are no restrictions, and my parents do not need to cancel the fine because it's not valid. The very fact that they apparently issued a fine to a unit they know isn't part of the association is pretty outrageous on its own. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.